Texas is still recovering from Hurricane Harvey. The relief efforts are revealing the important role of the church and also a problem with the system that's leading 3 churches to sue the federal government. Autumn Leva is Director of Policy and Communications for Family Policy Alliance and also an attorney. Hi, Autumn.
Hi, Stuart.
First, to unpack this, help us understand what happens at the government level when a disaster happens.
Well, that's right. Well, really the first step is a governor of a state can declare a state of emergency. And what that does is it unlocks a lot of help for the state. So state assistance funds, it can release the efforts of the National Guard, and most importantly, it requires an emergency operations plan to go in place, which is required if the state then wants to seek assistance from FEMA.
And that's what we hear a lot about in the news, but we've also seen reports of churches and nonprofits pitching in a big way.
Well, that's right, Stuart. Emphasis on the big way. In fact, USA Today is reporting that 80% of disaster relief is done by nonprofits, largely faith-based nonprofits and mostly Christian. And in fact, a lot of these churches or faith-based ministries are serving as FEMA staging centers, or FEMA is actually supporting those efforts on the ground that are already in place by the churches.
And they're doing it because of their faith. I mean, it's important to underscore that.
Well, that's exactly right. I think their heart for Jesus and serving those in need really comes out, especially during a time of need. And I think it's important to note that these churches and faith-based ministries are serving others regardless of whether or not the victims of these disasters agree with their religious beliefs. They're serving everyone.
And now we get the news that 3 churches are suing the federal government, 3 churches in Texas. What's that all about?
Well, that's right. That's actually the twist here. So again, these churches are actually serving as staging centers for FEMA, and FEMA is assisting them in the work on the ground that they're already doing. But because of FEMA rules, houses of worship cannot access FEMA assistance funds, even though these churches have also been badly damaged in the storm. So what these churches are saying is, hey, let's just treat us fairly under the law. We should be able to access these assistance funds just like everyone else.
And this really has been settled under the law by the Supreme Court.
Absolutely. There's precedence for this. Of course, we have strong protections for religious freedom in our Constitution. And just recently, the Supreme Court has ruled in the Trinity Lutheran case that a church who's running a faith-based school can access chopped up tires for their playground, that they shouldn't be precluded from accessing these chopped up tires just because they're a church.
And the key is that churches should be treated just like anybody else.
That's exactly right, Stuart.
Anything else you'd like to share before we let you go?
Well, we know that you all are already actively engaged in praying for and supporting those who have been affected by the storms facing this country. But we'd also like to ask you to partner with us, Family Policy Alliance, and our network of state-based allies as we engage with your state's lawmakers, making sure that we have strong religious freedom laws in your state so that churches and ministries can continue to live out their callings in serving those in need in your community, and so that churches and ministries in your state don't have to sue the federal government in order to be treated fairly under the law.
And if you'd like to make a donation, you can look at the top of our website or at the top of our Facebook page.